it's page Shin Beis. It's page 302 in Rabbi Levi Yitzchak Igros Kodesh. In 1970, I believe, they published selected letters from the Rebbe's father to the Rebbe, and in a sefer called Rabbi Levi Yitzchak, a collection of his father's name, Rabbi Levi Yitzchak's writings, Igros Kodesh. So this was written in Tzadik Daled in 1934. So let's see what he says. Nanesi mi be'urcha. I enjoyed your explanation, Shomarto al Hamaymer Azal, that you said about the Talmudic teaching, saying, Raba and Reb Zeira, about two rabbis, Raba and his student Reb Zeira. Sha'achli Sudas Purim, they ate Sudas Purim, Bahadadei, they ate together, Sheshochte Raba le Reb Zeira, and Raba slaughtered Reb Zeira. It's a Gemara in Megillah, I think Zion, and the Rebbe has a sicha. But like I said yesterday, here you see that the Rebbe already wrote about this to his father, I guess in the 30s, maybe even earlier, who knows? And the Rebbe's father says to the Rebbe, I really enjoyed your explanation. So it's an assumption. We don't know for sure, but it seems like it's probably the same explanation that the Rebbe shared with us later on, many years later. And then he says, B'chol ha'inyan korev me'oid le'emes. And this is very interesting. B'chlal, not b'chol. B'chlal, generally speaking, what you write to me, Korev Ma'oid Le'emes, is near the truth. Now, Shmuel, this is a very, very enigmatic language. Why Korev Ma'oid Le'emes? Why not Emes? Why Korev Ma'oid? So, this is my own thinking, take it or leave it, but in Jewish literature, in Talmudic literature, in rabbinic literature, Emes is known as Kabbalah. Chochmas ho'emes, the wisdom of truth. Rabbi Levi Yitzchak was a makubal. The Rebbe called his father makubal, and he was a makubal. Just we'll see in a few moments how kind of great makubal he was. So maybe he's saying, Korev me'oid le'emes. The Rebbe's explanation, Shmuel, as you remember from the Sikha, is it's not Kabbalistic. It's drush. It's Talmud with drush, with Russia, with sermonizing and medrash style. Remember, there's pshat, remesh, drush, soid, and I would say that the Rebbe's biur in that sicha is more drush, not Kabbalah. So the Rebbe's father, if again, it's all an assumption. If what the Rebbe told his father and that he's saying, I really enjoyed it, was that same sicha that we know about, which I would categorize as drush, then he's telling him, Korev mi'oid le'emes. It's very near emes in the sense it's not yet Kabbalah, which is my forte, the Rebbe's father saying, and I'm going to share with you the Kabbalistic insight into the same idea. Shmuel, how does that sound as an explanation?
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. The Kabbalists are called Chokmei HaEmes.
Right. So again, see the difficult, Shmuel and Avi with these is that it's so bekitzer. Everything is so brief here that you're like, for me it's like guessing, and I think for most people it's guessing. That's why for years people stayed away. Just now there's been a resurgence of learning his Torah. But anyway, let's go on. V'zachruni, and I remember shedibarti. Shedibarti korev lezeh. I remember shedibarti that hi Yoni. Well, we're learning the letter from the Reb Levi that I sent on the WhatsApp Matzah Shabbos. Could you bring it up?
Yeah.
Okay. We're on line 2, end of line 2. V'zachruni. The Rebbe's father says, I remember shedibarti korev lezeh. I spoke to you about this idea, which is very close to what you're saying, when you were by us. The last time the Rebbe's parents and the Rebbe's father saw the Rebbe was in 1927. This is 34. 7 years have gone by and he hasn't seen his son. Okay? Because it was very difficult because of Stalin and everything going on to travel. And now he was already a married man. He got married. So B'yoischa etzleinu, when you were by us, meaning in 1927 before you left. Okay. V'gam roshem etzli, I also have made notes. Mizeh b'medrash Raba b'Megillas Esther. My explanation, the Rebbe's father saying, that I told you, I wrote down as notes on the Medrash Rabbah, on the verse in Megillas Esther, the Efsher. And possibly, the Efsher, and possibly, Shora Isa Shama. Possibly, you saw my notes there, and that's how you formed your idea. I think that's what he's telling him. Okay, fine. Gam b'hakuntris de moridaya de livrus. Okay. There is a Gemara, and the Gemara is in Bava Metzia. Shmuel, did you ever learn this Gemara? It's a very interesting Gemara. If you're able to turn to the English footnote, I'd like to see it inside of the footnote. It's footnote number 6, Bava Metzia, page 87a. The specific reference to Moridaya de Librus, Moridaya means an oar. The Librus made of cypress is regarding a question of what type of meal must be given to laborers. The Gemara of Bava Metzia, when you have laborers, what must you feed them? The Mishnah on which the discussion is based explained that before the laborers begin, one needs to stipulate that they have the right to claim only a meal of bread and legumes. The term in the Gemara is pas v'kitnis, bread and legumes. Rav Acha, son of Reb Yosef, then asks whether the rule was to stipulate it would be bread of legumes, pas kitnius without a vav, or bread v'kitnius and legumes. That was Rav Acha's question. Do you have to give him, Yoni, bread and legumes? Or do I have to just give him bread made of legumes without giving him legumes? And Rav Chizda answers over there in the Gemara by the clear learning that was bread and legumes, pas v'kitnis, and suggested that we need to have the word and legumes, the vav, v'kitnis, spelled with a vav as large as an oar made of cypress wood. So this is this discussion over there in the Gemara, okay? So the Rebbe's father says, Gam b'hakuntris, it seems like he wrote some kind of essay on the Kabbalistic meaning of Moridaya, the oar, the livrus of the labor of cypress. Wood, sheshalachti l'cho koydem Purim, that I sent to you before Purim. Nirim is bezeh b'ktzorah me'oid. Now, we don't have that, so I don't know what he's referring to, but he's saying over there, we had that discussion. Va'ulam lehevi yadu Allah. We're back in the Hebrew on the 5th line. It should be known to you, ki yoser nachain hu sheraba roimeis al moichin de gadlus kishmoi. Now, I like this word. I mean, it's interesting. Ki yoser nachain. It is more correct. Now, you see, I don't know if the Rebbe's father is saying that what I'm going to tell you now is more correct than your explanation. I don't know if that's what he means. But he says, Ki yoser nachain, it is more correct that Rabba, the word Rabba, what does the word Rabba mean, Avi? Great. Rav, Rabba. Roimeis, it alludes to what we call Moichen de Gadlus. Great intellect. Kishmai, like the name of Rabba. In other words, in English we say, Yoni, expanded consciousness. Raba had expanded intellect. The Reb Zeira, his student Reb Zeira, Roimes al Moichin de Katlus. He had miniature, small intellect, Kishmai, like his name. Zeira means small. Ve'oile bikona echod. And both, and these two ideas go up in one line, in one kav, kona echod. Sherabba hu pchinas chasodim. Rabba was known to be the level of chesed, of kindness. But Reb Zeira, and Reb Zeira is known to be pchinas gevura, is severity. V'hainu, mash Reb Zeira ma'olam loi sochak. What is he referring to over here? Give me a second. It's a Gemara here. Look at the story of Rabbi Yirmiyah tried to get Reb Zeira to laugh. Right? There's a Gemara number 8, footnote 8. Turn now to 8, please. It's a Gemara in Nida. What does the Gemara say? The Gemara says that Reb Zeira never laughed. You hear that? Reb Zeira never laughed. And Reb Yirmiyah, the Gemara says in Nida, tried to get Reb Zeira to laugh, but he didn't succeed. Why is that? Because Reb Zeira, look at this beautiful explanation, Chevra. Reb Zeira represents Gevura. Gevura is judgment, the strictness, the seriousness. He didn't laugh. But Rabba is chesed, and that's why. So Rabba. So I guess Reb Yirmiyah, he doesn't explain here, but Reb Yirmiyah somehow is also associated with this chesed, which is moichin the gadlus. The Rebbe's point, the Rebbe Levi's point is that moichin the gadlus, expanded consciousness, intellect, I should say, is associated with chesed, with kindness. And therefore his name is Rabba, and therefore he is excited, he is lively, he is happy. Reb Zeira, who means small, moichin, right, is associated with Gevura, and therefore he never laughs, as it says in the Gemara in Nida. And in this case, he is being taunted by Rabba to drink more at Purim Suda, because he's sitting there very square. He's sitting there very rigid. And therefore, he is not laughing. He's not happy. So what does Rabba want to do? Drink. Be happy. Because he's chesed. That's what it says so far.
The dolphin.
Yeah.
Is there room to postulate that Rava was older, more mature, and more relaxed, and Reb Zeira was younger, more uptight, and not as confident or not as knowledgeable?
Well, I'll tell you. First of all, it's not Rava with an aleph; it's Rabba with a hey. They were two different people. Avi. Okay, so we're talking about Rabba with a hey. So that so don't use the word Rava because he's someone else. It's a Rabba with a hey. Number two, I mean, there's room to postulate, but I'll tell you, you can argue the flip side. Young guys are more active and like to drink and are more happy. So here's a young man. If anyone should be drinking at the Suda and being all over the place, it should be Reb Zeira, not Rabba. Rabba's the mature people. Look at ourselves. We're already midlife, older, where you have young chevra coming to your Shabbos table, the Yom Tov table. They're lively, they're making noise, they're making jokes, they're drinking. So I don't know. Again, it doesn't say it, so I can't comment, and it is what it is. Let's go on. Back to the text. Yoini, are you with us or not?
I'm here.
Are you following? Or if something's not clear, ask me. Okay, because it's very Kabbalistic. This it's gonna so you gotta pay attention. Okay. Let's go weiter. So again, the beginning of the parentheses on the 6th line. V'hainu mash Reb Zeira me'olam lo yisochak. The Gemara says it's also interesting. Look at the word me'olam lo yisochak. He never laughed. Could you imagine someone going through a lifetime, even though he was younger, he was a student. He always was sour. You meet someone, a person, we've all met all kinds of people. There's sometimes people, you never see them laughing. As it's explained in Chazal, in the story of Rabbi Yirmiyah was together with Reb Zeira. Okay, we'll leave that. As explained in my notes on another section in Tractate Menachos, Toida Lekeil. Okay, after the parentheses. Ki moichin de gadlus, because expanded intellect, hein pchinas chsodim, is the level of chesed. Shemois Havaya, which is the names of Yud Kei Vav Kei, Umeichin the Katnus, smaller intellect, minor intellect, less intellect, Heim Pchinas Gvuros, they are judgment, Shemus Elokim. Okay, we can understand that. Elokim is the name of Hashem that's associated with Gvura, judgment. Yud Kei Vav Kei is the name of Elokim that's associated with Yud Kei Vav Kei, with Chesed. So he says that that's the connection between the two names. V'oz Sora Kush Yisech Mimashe Raba Yehoiker Horim. Okay. Obviously, the Rebbe had asked his father a question. See, he says, Sarah is removed, Kush Yosech, your question. He doesn't say what the question is, but I think the assumption, what it seems to be, the Rebbe asked his father is, what's the connection between Moichen the Gadlus and Moichen the Katnus to the two people? And this is what he explains to him. So your question is removed. Mima sheraba hoyoiker horim. Here is another Gemara. I believe it's a Gemara in Hoyrius, I think, or somewhere. The Gemara says that, actually Brachas, note number 10. Rabbi, look at note number 10. The Rabbi was known for his ability to argue texts and resolve difficulties, which gave him the name Oiker Horim, uprooter of mountains. So what is he saying? He's saying that since Rabba was Moichin the Gadlus, expanded intellect, and therefore he was able to uproot mountains from questions in the Gemara, which means, I'm reading now from the English text in the text, which means all the more so that he was associated with Moichin the Gadlus, great intellect. Shechita, ritual slaughter, is known for three key elements. The windpipe, the trachea, the esophagus, number 2, and the jugular vein, which are three features associated with Moichin the Katnus. And as is also known with regard to the three officers of Paroi, the butler, the baker, and the butcher, each one represents another aspect of trachea, esophagus, and jugular vein. This is also like a sign that is enclosed in nature, as in the ore made of cypress. Hold on. Got to go back to the Hebrew text. He says, Ki adarabah, I'm now on about the 8th line, the 5th word into the line, 4th word. Ki adarabah, Pchinas zu, Pchinas Moichin the Gadlus. This idea of being able to uproot mountains requires Moichin the Gadlus. If you don't have great intellect, you cannot take mountains that, in other words, questions that are as tall and as mighty, Yoni, as mountains, Shmuel, and be able to reconcile them, because they're overbearing. But if you have Avi, Moichin, the Gadlus, you have expanded intellect, you have large intellect, you're able to do that. Let's continue. So now he says, V'shchita hu b'simonim, we know halachically, when it comes to shchita, there are three things. Kana, the trachea, Veshit, the esophagus, and Vriden, the jugular vein. Sheimagimul moichen de katnus. These are the three intellectual powers, but of small ones. Ki yedua bagimul sari pari. That's why in Kabbalah they refer to the three ministers of pari: Mashkim, the butler, Ephraim, the baker, Tvochim, the one with the meat, the slaughterer. So this is specifically related to Purim. Shehu hamtokas moichin de katnus idea moichin de gadlus. What's the whole idea of Purim? To take the moichin de katnus and to sweeten it, because moichin de katnus is what? What did we say before? Gevura, severity, judgment. Purim, we take the three elements of moichin de katnus and we sweeten them, we transform them to chesed through moichin de gadlus. So what do we understand from this? We understand, guys, very beautiful, that the idea of shechting, slaughtering, is to remove the judgment and severity from the experience and to be transformed to chesed, to sweetness. And that's what Rabba did to Reb Zeira. Reb Zeira was moichin the katnus, and he never smiled, and he was in the world of judgment and severity. Comes along Rabba, who's from the world of moichin the gadlus, and says, V'shochat, I'm going to shecht you. I'm going to elevate you to a place where you'll be all sweet. This is what he wanted to do. Shalochein misporoi, the gematria who gamkein havai elikim shaloi ha'yisi. Let's go back to the English now. I'm going to the English for a moment. Look, it says here, the gematria of Purim is 336, the word Purim, which is 3 times the gematria of the combination of Hashem Elokim. Hashem is 26, plus Elokim is 86, is 112. 3 times 112 is 336, which is the same gematria of Purim. The Arizal explains it in Likutei Torah, his Likutei Torah, in Parshat Vayeshev. So what is the Rebbe's father saying? That this idea of moichin de gadlus, shechting moichin de katnus, it's represented by the name Purim. Because Purim is 336, which is the combination of 3 times Yud-Kei Vav-Kei, and 3 times and 3 times plus 3 times Elokim. In other words, since he mentioned, I want to clarify, since he mentioned that there's 3 sari parai, there is the trachea, there is the esophagus, and there's the jugular vein, that's 3. So we have 3 elements that require transformation, elevation, sweetening. So how does that happen? By 3 times 3 equals 336, which is Purim. Before we continue, is this clear or should I explain it again? This last gematria issue. Shmuel, did you follow? Hello? Avi?
You hear me, Rebbe?
Yeah, did you follow?
Okay. Yeah, so just to clarify.
Yeah.
The esophagus, the
no. First the trachea. There's the kana, the windpipe. Then comes the esophagus, and then there's something called the vriden, the jugular vein. These are three things in an animal where you shecht over there.
Okay.
Right? So Kabbalah says, Yoni, that these three are of an animal. An animal needs to be elevated, animal-like, ideas and feelings. Through the shechita, you permit an animal to be eaten if it's done in a kosher way. What's the idea? You're elevating or transforming these three powers of negativity. Right? So since we mentioned three, the Rebbe's father says it's interesting to note that 3 times Yud Kei Vav Kei is 3 times 26 is 86, and 3 times Elokim is 112, whatever. So it's 3. So there's and you put them together, Yud Kei Vav Kei and Elokim, and you get the same gematria as the word Purim, 336. Purim equals 336. So let's read the last paragraph on this page in the English. The idea is also connected because the shechita, the slaying of Reb Zeira by Raba, is similar in concept to the binding of Yitzchak by Avram, in that Avram represents Chesed, that wanted to slaughter through shechita Yitzchak, who represents Gevura. But with regard to the Akedah and Yitzchak, it was not enough that Yitzchak was bound. There was a substitute sacrifice, the ram that could be offered in his place. See Likutei Torah to explain it. Okay? When it comes to the downfall of Haman, next page in the English, and his sons, it was necessary that there be an actual slaying. It would not have been acceptable to offer some type of substitute sacrifice in place of Haman and his sons. When it comes to that type of evil, actual slaying was needed. So this is another great insight, Yoni, that Haman and his sons had to be killed, because there it would not be adequate to just bring a substitute. Like instead of Yitzchak by the Akedah, they brought a ram. No, because Yitzchak was parif, Yitzchak was kosher. Yitzchak, you know what I'm saying? So, but here you had evil. You had Haman. So what's his point? So the Rebbe, let's continue the next paragraph in English. Now see how all this is connected to Purim. Consider that Haman and his sons are opposites, perhaps mirror images in opposite directions, to Avram and Yitzchak. Here are some reasons why. First, the names of the mothers, Haman and Avram, were similar. Look at note 13. I think you're going to enjoy this one. Avi, what was Haman's mother's name? Amasloi bas Urvati. Huh? Yeah, I bet you never knew that. And what was Avram's mother's name? Amasloi bas Karnavoy. This is a Gemara in Bava Basra. And I've told you that I was told that it's a segula in case you're in front of a judge, you're going for a court case or a ticket, you should say in front of the judge, Amasloi bas Karnavoy, Aimsed Avram Avinu is the mother of Avram, which I've actually used in court, and it's actually helped me sometimes, not always, but it's helped me. Remember that if you have a case, a ticket, and you got to stand in front of a judge, you say, Amasloi bas Karnavoy, Amasloi, the daughter of Karnavoy, Aimsed Avram is the mother of Avram. But anyway, going back to the text here. So we say, let's go back to the text here in the English. He says, so the names of the mothers of Haman and Avram were similar, right? Both have the name Amasloi. They are daughters of different fathers, but they both share the same name. This is to teach us that Haman was the opposite of Avram. We have a rule, zeh l'uma zeh, one opposite the other. So they were another sign that they were opposites, that Avram planted faith, and that he planted an Eshel and a tree in Beersheba in the name of God, the God of the world. By contrast, Haman wanted to uproot faith and made a tall tree 50 amos high. Haman's tree stands opposite Avram's Eshel, Avram's tree. Also, look at the last 2 letters of Avram's name. They are Hey and Mem. Avraham. Hey Mem. By comparison, the first two letters of Haman's name are also Hey and Mem, Haman. However, the Mem in Avram's name is a closed Mem, meaning that it is entirely enclosed letter called a Men Sofit. Because it is entirely closed, it does not leave an opening for the development of negative forces of Klippa. They are under containment. By contrast, the Mem in Haman's name is open. It is a regular Mem and has an opening at the bottom, which allows for the growth and development of negative forces. If you then look at the next letter of Haman's name, it's a Nun, which represents 50, corresponding to the tree that Haman planted, which was 50 amos high, as it says in the Megillah. So this is beautiful, showing us the connection between Haman and Avram in the sense that Haman was the opposite of Avram. And the 75,000 who were killed in the miracle of Purim wasn't the merit of the 75 years representing Avram's age when he left Haran. Haran in Gematria comes to 258, which corresponds to Moichin the Katnos and 3 times Elokim. He spells it out for you. Elokim is 86, 3 times 86 is 258. The 75 years also hints at the sweetening of Moichin de Katnus by the Moichin de Gadlus, which we began explaining. This is connected to the number of letters corresponding to 3 times the number of letters in the names of Havai Elokim when spelled out in full plus another. Okay, we're going to leave that. So anyway, we'll continue tomorrow in Mitzvah Shem. But what we have right now, if we go back to the Hebrew text, hold on, I want to just see where we're at. We are Shalochay Misporio Gimel have Shin Lamed Vov 330 Yisi. Okay. And then we also said Gamash in the Hebrew, I'm reading now back from the Hebrew. The fact that that Rabba slaughtered Reb Zeira, it's like the slaughtering of that Avram brought Yitzchak Chasadim, because Avram represents Chesed, and he wanted to elevate and transform Yitzchak, which is Gvura, and he explained the difference between the two. And then he says, "V'shayich zel Purim, ki Haman ubanov," because Haman and his sons. Hey, Malumas da Avram Yitzchak. And then he brings the names are the same, but in the Haman. Okay, so this section we learned. We'll continue tomorrow. Is it too heavy? I mean, is it too heavy?
I'll tell you, Rebbe, it's very interesting. I find it to be like extremely interesting. It's very, very deep.
It's very deep, but it's you know, if you follow the gematrias a little bit even, and this is the Rebbe's father, Yoni. You know, you always ask me, can we learn some of the other Rebbe's Torah? Yeah. This is of the Rebbe's father. He was a big Kabbalist. And what he does, if you see, he intertwines Gemara, Medrash, and Kabbalah and Chassidus all in one, and very brief. So, you know, my friend wrote up this essay. I mean, I taught it to him. You know, we learned it together, and he did an excellent job in writing up and explaining it. So, Avi, are you with me or you're also lost? I don't know what happened. Only you and I are on. Okay.
I'm here. I'm with you.
Oh, okay. Good. So Shmuel got lost, I guess. Okay. We will continue tomorrow. Everyone, sei gesund. Have a good day. Hatzlacha. Bye-bye.
Rabbi Delphin.
Yes.
Yeah. I've also been on.
Oh. Well, you guys don't... Okay, I didn't know. But in order for me to see the text, I had to put only the screen very small, so I only saw one at a time. I apologize.
I had a question. I'll just ask you really, really fast. I had a question many minutes ago. Now I understand you didn't see me. Is there, when you were describing Shchita before, about Midas HaRachamim.
Midas HaChesed. Chesed.
Thank you, yes. It reminded me of, brought me back to the nusach that we say before we make the kaparos.
All right.
The kapara, Erev Yom Kippur.
Yeah.
Just there just seem to be a lot of similarities. The sweetening of the gavuros.
Right.
that lashon also.
No, but wait a minute. Aren't you thinking more of Hoshana Rabbah, the sweetening of the 5 Avravos?
I just said also. I said also Hoshana Rabbah. But I first was thinking about it in relation to.
Oh, the Shechita Kaparas, right.
Yeah, but I hear what you're saying now that I'm okay. I'm just bringing it up. I'm just no. I don't know how much connection.
No. It's good you're saying it. I mean, again, Reb Leivik doesn't bring it for whatever. Doesn't mean that it's the idea, the Shechita of the Kaparas. Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But let's not lose the train of thought that he's getting at. He's making a nakuda that Rabba's name is great. Rabbah. Zeira's name, Rabbi Zeira, is Zeira. They're sitting at a Purim Suda, Gemara says. And Rabbah shechts Reb Zeira. So the Rebbe's father is explaining why he did that and what he wanted. He wanted to transform seriousness. The rabbi who didn't laugh, the Gemara says that Rabbi Yirmiyah tried getting Reb Zeira to smile and laugh, and lo yisochak mi'olam. He couldn't. Mm-hmm. So what Rabbah did was, hey guy, I'm Purim, I'm gonna elevate you to a place and transform your negativity. Not that he was a tzaddik, but I'm saying that approach. Today is a time for simcha. And you should know, if you listen to these videos, that have a lot of videos now from the Rebbe and Purim, from the 1950s through the 1980s. Take a look at some of those videos, and you see the Rebbe tells people, if I'm bringing like say l'chaim and a whole cup, and it's like he's wants to bring out people's simcha. This is the day. Purim is the day of simcha. Yeah. Okay, Chevra, we'll learn more tomorrow. Sei gesund. Bye bye. Take care.